You? Thank you.
Thanks, Jim.
Not gonna bother to sit down, Jim Brown, Hastings Township. You probably have a copy of this someplace, but I'm gonna give you another one just in case you misplaced yours. Also, I received 2 replies on that questionnaire that I gave this group a week ago, 2 weeks ago, whatever. This weekend, Friday is the Solid Waste Oversight Committee meeting. It'll be helpful if we get those back. I checked my mail last night, nothing was in there, so I got 2 out of the 7. I guess next week on Wednesday, is your meeting next week Wednesday instead of Tuesday?
Yes. 2 weeks.
Is that correct?
2 weeks, the
Just Dr. Frank
is it the
Fiala
21st?
He's on the agenda next week.
Next
Solid
week
Waste
it's
Committee
regular.
meetings.
Yeah, next week is Tuesday on the 13th, and then the meeting on the 21st, or is it, where's my schedule?
Did you send it in?
Wednesday, the Cal meeting. Yeah, I mean, on the
19th through the 20th?
Wednesday, right?
The 21st is the cow meeting.
That's the one that he's going to the 14th, that's great. Anyway, I'm off, I won't bother anymore, fill those questionnaires out, get them back to me, we can't make an intelligent decision unless we know where the leadership even is standing on this, so, we appreciate it. Thank you.
Jim, I did send you an email and asked you a couple of questions, or asked a question about the current plan that the state has for recycling and what we're under.
That's what, I guess, the committee that we presently have is, it's legal, but it's not, because some of the members that have to be on there do not live in Berry County. For instance, the solid waste person that's on there. So we have to change that, so we make it legal, no big deal, but it has to be. Once that's done, then it just keeps going.
Oh, but I did send you an email because I wanted to fill that out, but I wanted some more information, so.
Just basically, we just need your opinion on those 4. A or B, yes or no. Thank you.
Any other public comment? Hearing none, here to present our next item is, or our first item today, is Bruce Waldecker and Michael Brown. I believe Bruce is the expert on this, and we'll just, Michael said he'd just let Bruce take the floor.
Morning.
Good morning. So, the question before the board is approval of the Berry County Inmates Administrative Services contract with Blue Cross Blue Shield of Michigan for the July 2019 through June 2020 time period. And at this time, the chair would entertain a motion as
So
such.
moved.
Thank you.
Support.
Moved by Gibson, support by Jackson. The floor is yours.
I can certainly present, or I can just answer questions, what the inmates program is with Blue Cross Blue Shield. And it's back up a little bit. Bruce Waldecker, I'm with Oliver Van Dyke Insurance Agency. We represent both the county as well as the inmates for their medical programs. And so for the inmates with the Blue Cross Blue Shield, it's a discount program through Blue Cross Blue Shield. There's no insurance. What the inmates population does and for the inmate staff, they're able to purchase prescription drugs, hospitalizations, doctor's visit, that sort of thing. And they get Blue Cross discount. Blue Cross also then does a unified billing for all the services. It's a continuation of a program that's been in place for many, many years. And, yeah, just here to answer your questions.
Does anybody have any questions for Bruce? Yes.
No changes from the previous time you presented?
several years. Within the contract, Blue Cross has added some features, and it would be under the number 12, I'm not sure what page it would be on here, but it says shared savings program. This is a new program that Blue Cross implemented here a couple of years ago, where they hired third-party entities to do data mining, to do bill reconciliation, and so then those third parties retain a portion of what they recover. So it's additional savings to the inmates. That's what's new.
Anything else?
Any other questions? Yeah.
Yes, sir.
I know it's included in the budget for the jail, but is there any reason, or is there nothing else available to compare it to?
As far
Is
as
the
programs out
is
there,
the program for coverage for that same coverage?
I'm not familiar with any program that, so it's not insurance where a network or an entity rents their discounts. So
Okay.
the only one I'm familiar with is
Okay.
the Blue Cross program.
All right, okay.
Vivian, did you have anything? Any other questions for Bruce? Okay. The question before the committee is the approval of the Berry County Inmates Administrative Services Contract with Blue Cross Blue Shield of Michigan for July 2019 through June 2020. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. The item is approved. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we have interviews for the Veterans Affairs Committee. There is one partial term opening, and then we have several interviews. First is Scott Brooks. Good morning, Mr. Brooks. Just take a few minutes to introduce yourself to the committee, and we will introduce ourselves to you one at a time when you're finished.
Sounds good. I'm Scott Brooks. I'm a 2004 graduate of North Kellogg. Joined the military in 2004, got out in 2012, did 8 years. I was stationed in Fort Leonard, Missouri, Fort Campbell, Kentucky, Schofield Barracks, Hawaii, and Fort Bragg, North Carolina. I reached level 6. The highest score I got was a Silver Star. Was attendee of Saber Leader course. Advanced leadership course, military task force and explosions. I'm here today to help represent fellow veterans.
Thank you, sir.
Scott, why don't you talk into the microphone there too, so, okay.
Thanks. Who would like to go first? Commissioner Smelker.
Now, which era are you going to represent? Afghanistan or what?
I hope to be able to represent them all through
Yes,
the benefits
but-
of what the VA does for the veterans, where they can short informing us what those benefits can be and what we can do and what we're capable of. I would be representing the veterans primarily. That would be my direction.
Commissioner Gibson.
No questions.
Commissioner Parker.
Yeah, Scott, what concerns do you have that you feel we're not addressing?
There is a vast amount of help out there with the information that's being put out to let these veterans know, to let us know what's going on and what's available. It's hard to reach someone that's not looking, so it might require something. And being in the veteran community, you can identify that in your friends.
Commissioner Jackson.
Scott, you had mentioned on the information you fill out, you've been working with veterans since you've been out, since you've been discharged. What have you been involved with? What have you been doing?
I've come across a few veterans that were having issues with substance abuse, mental health issues, and just caretaking them through the VA system, getting them over the battle creek, getting them a full contact with Patrick Jansen's, and calling Patrick myself for information on what I can do to assist them.
How often are you working locally, with our veterans here as far as through our office?
Locally, I have not done anything through the Veterans Affairs office here. Millville, I'm part of the American Legion, just recently started a meeting, and I joined, we started a meeting. That's really ain't out too much help yet.
Okay, you had mentioned you go to Battle Creek,
Yes, the main meeting in Battle Creek.
maybe in Battle Creek, okay.
I give my medical attention for at work or something like that.
Thank you.
Commissioner Connor?
Thank you for applying. Appreciate that. I left my resumes at home must be because it's not in my packet, so, and I had it all strewn out yesterday on the table, but thanks for applying. And David asked the question that I was, if you were affiliated with any of the local groups, and you said that you were with the Middleville American Legion? Okay. And, what skills do you bring to this that, from past experience?
Compassion and understanding.
Okay. I didn't know, like I said, I left my packet at home and I can't remember exactly.
Make an unbiased decision in the process.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you for your service. I'm Commissioner Wing, and I visited almost half of the places you've been stationed at. I had family in the military, so it's like going home, remembering all the different places I visited. How do you, as a younger veteran, reach out to maybe the older veterans that are having problems connecting with services?
Through the relationship that one of my dads is a Vietnam veteran, and that we can go and we can have this bond of we are different from everyone else, that there is an understanding that in wars we're different. Yes, one's in the city, one's in the jungle, one's in the desert, air, sea. There's a certain bondship that I can't describe with words, but it's there, and you are able to talk to people, even if you approach the older veteran as a mentor. You're not always a subordinate, you peers, and there's just this understanding that you want to serve them.
Thank you. We have 3 other interviews today, and we'll make a recommendation sometime, either today, for our meeting for next week. Okay? Thank you.
Thank you, Scott.
Our next interview is Eva Chap.
Good morning.
Good morning. If you could push that red button on your microphone, that might help us. So same protocol, we'll have you take a few minutes to introduce yourself and then we'll have questions.
My name is Eva Chap. I was born and raised here in Michigan, in Hastings. I did graduate in 1984 from Springport High School. However, Hastings High School is my home class. I joined the military in 1986, and I retired in 2008. I did 22 years. I served in Desert Storm, Iraq, and many Homeland Security missions. I started out in the Air Force as an air traffic controller, cross branches to the Army National Guard. I spent about 18 and a half years in the Michigan National Guard here in Michigan. I started out in Grand Haven, Grand Rapids. I transferred to Detroit. I worked at Selfridge. I worked in Taylor, and I spent a lot of time working at the headquarters in Lansing. I've done multiple jobs. I ended up as a military police officer in charge of public affairs. In Iraq, I worked public affairs for detainee operations. I have worked public affairs for homecomings, send-offs, funerals, many, many funerals, too many. And I raised 3 children. My youngest is 25 now, so I have just about done it all.
You have very much been a busy lady. Let's start with Commissioner Parker.
Yeah, what concerns do you see that we need to be fixing or de-emphasizing with, or just plain have to take better control of?
And that is one question I asked my sister, because I know I have different things that I need, and she needs different things. She's also a veteran. She's older, and one of the things, even though we have transit and we have many good travel opportunities here, it's really hard to find veteran shared carpooling, as well as I think there are some food and housing issues to look at. One thing that I do well, that I did in the military, was analyze a lot of data and come up with different answers and solutions. At this time, I'm not quite sure exactly what we need, but I know we do need a place or a way for veterans to come together to be able to help each other. And Berry County, there's so much to do here, and I think we should be attracting veterans more than we do now.
Thank you. Commissioner Jackson.
Thank you, Eva. Thanks for your application. Are you connected at all to the Berry County Veterans Affairs Office? Have you worked with them here locally?
I have worked with them a few times, but I'm not considered connected to them, no.
Okay, so you're not receiving services from them or
No,
not
not
working
at
closely
this
with them?
time,
Okay. Because that was my question. If there's an opportunity for you on this board, is there anything that you see that we could expand or work with to better serve our veterans here in Berry County? And I think you answered some of those already. So, I just didn't know what your connection was to it like that. But thank you for your application.
Commissioner Connor.
Thank you. Thank you for applying. Again, I guess my question is the same. You pretty much answered it about some of the jobs that you've had, but it's what skill sets do you bring to be able to work on that board?
Coordinating large activities, analyzing data, specializing in operations, and one job I had in the military was to keep people in the military, retaining and recruiting. I did both. So, I believe we should retain and recruit veterans and find out what they need or what they think we need. And not necessarily is it something that I think personally, but what does the data show that we need? What do the veterans actually need? Let's ask them. I don't think in any of the time that I've been back here, I've had any interaction with anyone from Berry County about what I need or what I could use or any help that is needed. And I've come back here 2 times after war, after Desert Storm and after Iraq.
Thank you.
Commissioner Gibson.
Thanks for applying and thanks for your service.
Thank you.
Smoker.
Hi, thank you for
Hi.
your service. Are you still a member of the DAV?
I am. I'm one of the founding members of DAV Chapter 139 Hastings. We are just over 1 year old. And currently I'm serving as the treasurer.
Thank you for your service. You have been a busy lady to raise 3 kids and all of the stuff that's gone on in the last 30 years. So I commend you for everything that you do in trying to get involved in the community. We will be making a decision shortly, so thanks for your interview.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Have a great day.
Next is Jean Greenfield.
Not here.
Somebody's out in the hallway. Is that who that is?
Thanks, Rick. Are you Mr. Greenfield?
Hello, how are you?
Come on in, have a seat. So take a few minutes to introduce yourself and explain why you're interested in the Veterans Affairs Committee, and then we get to ask you questions.
Okay, cool.
So the floor is yours.
Okay, tell you a little bit about myself. I was born in Brighton, raised in Hastings my whole life, graduated from high school in '66. I joined the Navy in November 20th of '67 on a 120-day delayed program. Went active March 20th. The first year of my service was chipping paint as a boatswain mate on an aircraft carrier for a whole year and painting. In early September, we had our shakedown cruise in the Caribbean, and I went overboard refueling at sea, which is kind of strange. But another guy and I were disconnecting our hoses, the jet fuel and black oil, and the other ship pulled back on the as we had our weight on our shoulders. So we went flying about 30 foot into the water. And after that, they gave me shore duty. They offered it to me, and I had just got married, so I took it. I was stationed for the next 2 years in Lewis, Delaware. Kind of a McHale's Navy type place, 150 people. And I was married October 12th, '68. Been married almost 51 years now. I have 3 adult children and 3 grandchildren. And I've been the deputy treasurer at Rutland Township since 2000. I'm in my 3rd year as athletic director at Berry County Christian School. I believe I'm very approachable. I know a lot of people know me. I'm also in a rock and roll band, if that don't hold that against me. And that's about it.
All right, we're going to start with our veterans this time. Commissioner Smelker.
Oh, and I do volunteer for John running the golf carts at the fair every year too.
I have no questions for you. Thank you for applying.
Commissioner Gibson.
All right, thanks for applying and thanks for your service.
Okay, thank you. This is a little bit out of my comfort zone, you know.
They usually are. Commissioner Connor.
Thanks for applying.
Okay.
My question is, your skill set that you bring to work on that board and work for that board. What do you think your skill set is that?
Like I said, I think I'm very approachable. I like to listen to people. I like people. Oh, by the way, I do have a bachelor's degree in business too. I got a Cornerstone. I just think I'm an approachable person, and people seem to like me, I guess. So.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Morning, Gene.
Hi.
Thanks for your application. Question, kind of the same question as, what is your connection to our local Berry County Veterans Affairs Office? Are you currently working with them now?
No, I'm not. No, I did apply for a few benefits 4 or 5 years ago and was denied, but no big deal, you know. I have tinnitus, I believe, from chipping paint, you know, the needle gun. I don't know if you've ever heard of them or not, but. And I had back surgery. Oh, by the way, I kicked lung cancer in 2012. And some of that, I believe, I did smoke back in the day, but some of that was around asbestos a lot on the aircraft carrier. But all of that was denied, and I'm fine with it, you know.
Okay,
That's the way it goes.
are you connected with veterans here in Berry County?
No, I'm not.
Are you working with them right now, involved in the
Not.
organization?
No,
Okay.
I'm not.
Okay. Those are my questions. Thank you.
Okay.
What kind of concerns, you must have had some kind of a zeal for wanting to help out veterans and that, for being.
You know, I'm proud to be a veteran, and I really don't know what it all involves, you know, being on the committee. But I like to challenge myself and grow, you know, and I just.
Do you see any actual concerns out there for some of it? That's.
I believe there's a few, like, I think benefits should be more open for veterans. I mean, I could use a hearing aid. Thank you for speaking up, by the way. And, you know, just things that I think should be more accessible to veterans that aren't.
Okay.
Okay?
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you for having me.
Thanks. We'll be making a decision soon.
Heather, can I make a comment here? Question keeps coming up is what do you see as the need from one of these applicants and the Veterans Committee? We struggle every month, every meeting at the American Legion here in Hastings of getting people to come to the meeting, getting veterans involved. We have a real struggle getting younger veterans involved, and whoever gets on this committee, I think that committee's responsibility, or one of their main tasks, should be connecting with the veterans. Go out and find them. We have over 200 and some veterans, or maybe more than that, in Berry County. And a typical meeting, American Legion, you'll get 15, 20, 25 veterans to show up. And we need somebody going out and finding these people, encouraging them to come to meetings and get involved and learn about what services are available to them. And, you know, just, we need interaction with them. And that's what, you know, whoever you appoint to this needs to help implement that.
He has a point. I'm a member and I don't attend meetings.
Thank you. Mr. Spangler. Michael Spangler? All right.
20 minutes away from his time on the.
Yeah. Why don't we take a little break, 5 minutes, and if Mr. Spangler shows up, we'll try to take him.
There's a gentleman.
Stay man.
Mr. Spangler?
Rick?
Oh.
Are you Mr. Spangler? We are running a little early, so we're actually ready for you if you'd like. Sorry. Yeah. So we're kind of informal this morning. Have a seat. Tell us a little bit about yourself. Typically, our interviews have been going really quick this morning.
Okay.
Just give us a little history and why you want to get involved in the VA.
Okay, my name is
Biddy.
Mike Spangler. I served just under 24 years in the United States Navy. Started out as an enlisted man and then commissioned about at my 10-year mark. Then served about 13 years as a naval officer. A lot of my background had a lot to do with weapons development, program management, things of that nature. I retired in 2014, came back here, and I found transitioning back into the commercial sector was a little more challenging than I initially anticipated. I'd always kind of come down to the last couple in an interview, but they always wanted that commercial experience, so I didn't quite make the cut for that. So as I found out about this, I kind of thought it would be a way to probably be a little bit more engaged with the outside sector and get a little more familiar than my comfort zone in the military. So I've been here about 5 years, live out in Gun Lake with a German Shepherd that's about 100 pounds. So.
Pretty impressive. The German Shepherd, I mean.
Yeah.
Okay. We'll start with Commissioner Smelker.
I see in your resume that you was a program manager over technology development.
Yes, sir. I did 2 tours at the National Reconnaissance Office, which is our nation's satellite reconnaissance division. So in that program manager, we had pretty big budgets to do a lot of the technology development. A lot of the stuff that we would spend money on, sometimes it would mature into something that would be used in a more economical state. Some technology was just too expensive at that time. So we had to sort that out so that we could bring viable solutions to some of the problems that we had when we were trying to gather some of that intelligence data from using our satellites. A lot of budget work, a lot of contractor, did a lot of evaluations on defense contractors. And I was a government representative for that for about 3 years.
Thank you very much for your service.
Thank you.
Commissioner Gibson?
Oh, thanks for applying. Thanks for your service. Do you serve on any other boards in the county at this time? No, sir.
None.
That's all I have.
Commissioner Connor?
Thank you very much for applying. I did step over to your house yesterday about 4:30-ish, and yes, I met your dog. He is pretty impressive. Another one, but I couldn't make that one out, but,
Oh, that was my daughter's dog. She's theirs temporarily.
oh,
so, yeah.
okay. So, because I just live around the corner.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
Yeah, so I live over on Blue Lagoon.
Oh, okay, so
Yeah.
right next door, Brad.
So anyways, but my question is, and in your resume, it was clearly stated, but the skill set that you bring, you know, based on your service, like John said, you're a program manager, but what other skill sets do you think that you bring that would help with that board?
Well, I have limited knowledge on exactly what the expectation was for the board members that would serve on these boards, but I did feel that being more recently retired and having a little more of the updated time in service, I really kind of felt that the veterans face a different challenge than they did during some of our other eras. A lot of our veterans that are coming back now, it was kind of a different time, different war. There are more resources available as compared to the Vietnam veterans that were out. I navigated that process for a while. It was extremely challenging. I had some help through the Military Officers Association where I gained a lot, and then obviously being savvy with the computer and doing that research and making sure that those forms are absolutely perfect when you send them in so you don't give them a reason to deny. So I felt that I had a little more experience in that if I ever did have an opportunity to help someone, I could do that. I have to be honest, I didn't have a lot of information on all of the things that the board does, but I do know that they probably allocate resources to do Veterans Affairs benefits for some of our veterans.
Thank you for your answer. Appreciate that
Thank
very
you.
much.
Commissioner Jackson?
Good morning. Thanks for your application. Michael, are you currently working with anybody in the Berry County Veterans Affairs Office? Have you been connected to the office at all?
No, sir, no.
Okay.
No affiliation.
You made the comment, you know, I think navigated was your word through the system. Was that to get benefits, resources, to get some help?
Yeah, to definitely make sure that my VA benefits I could take advantage of. Also disability claims for injuries that have been served. And then also there are a lot of different resources available depending on if they're combat veterans, if they've, you know, obviously suffered traumatic brain injuries or loss of limb. There are different avenues for some of that stuff. And I learned about that, although I didn't apply to it, it was very knowledgeable because some of us vets still get together and talk about some of that, and that's that exchange of information that I thought was very beneficial. That answered your question.
Yeah, how do you think the point was brought up that veterans seem to be a little disconnected in the county, that they're not well attended or well connected? How do we get vets together?
Well, I think a lot of times they use the events to kind of do that, but the issue is a lot of veterans, in my opinion, at least in my case, we isolate ourselves, and we have to draw them out, whether that be an activity or a golf outing or something that you can kind of find to bring them in. I can tell you firsthand, my first couple of years, I didn't get out much. And I think that that's going to require reach out to encourage them to kind of get together, because once you start that communication, you'd be surprised on how much you could learn and actually make life a little bit better. So I would think that activities would need to be organized, letters that maybe show some of the benefits they could do by, you know, spending that time to learn.
That's something you're willing to do?
I would be interested in trying to find that way.
Okay. Thank you.
Commissioner Parker?
Just a little follow-up. Yeah, we just recently learned that there's not a lot of activity in the veterans of Berry County on things, and it would be nice for them to understand what the advantages would be of meeting. And how would you recruit that type of situation? How would you go about doing that?
I think in the beginning, I mean, if we have to draw them out. At least my experience, the guys that have been around, they've been isolated. They don't like to go out. Big scary world out there with all those commercial sector people. I think most veterans, if you can just get them around veterans. I mean, often some people like golf, some don't. Frisbee golf. You got to get them out of that stale environment. Some veterans, they enjoy going to gun ranges. Some veterans, like I said, they enjoy golf. Boating, I found, is a nice way to meet people out on Gun Lake, which I'm sure Ms. Connor is aware of. But again, maybe starting out small, maybe just kind of meeting a breakfast. Got to encourage them. If it's just a, hey, let's meet for coffee, I mean, you got to have something to entice them, and I think that would be getting to know them a little bit more. I don't have any grand ideas that would be spectacular, because obviously you'd have to start small to make it realistic.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you for your service.
Thank you.
I guess my question would be, how do you see connecting veterans cross-generationally? How do you, I mean, we still have a pretty big population of World War II vets in Korea and Vietnam. They are aging, but we have an awful lot of Gulf War, Afghanistan vets too.
Right.
How do you see bridging them or creating communication network between those so that everybody's getting the same service?
Well, my experience, working with mostly the Vietnam veteran era guys that I've met throughout my life, we all have a very common core. A lot of vets will say that they miss the camaraderie. So I think if we stay on what we have in common, the times in service are very different. One example comes to mind that for Vietnam veterans, their resources were not as wide. Their support was nowhere near what it is today. So I think kind of bridging that ground, there's a lot to be learned from that. I think being able to start those conversations on how things have changed and how we're making them better would be a good common denominator to make that work. Again, I think it has to do with communication and people being comfortable to be able to talk about some of those changes that have taken place. I've always kind of felt that Vietnam era had nowhere near the services we did. And I think a lot of them feel, hey, at least it's better now. And I think that's a good common denominator topic to discuss to be able to maybe bridge that. The World War II veterans are aging. A lot of them are under medical type care, I would think, by now. But still, they have the same core values that we all share. So I think it really has to do with maybe exchanging those kind of ideas together. I'm sure some of those guys could bring some great ideas to some of the challenges that we face today. So I would think communicating with them, talking with them, asking them what they think.
Thank you, sir. You are our final interview for this board.
Okay.
And we will be making a decision relatively shortly, probably by the end of this meeting. And then our recommendation will go to the full board next week for approval.
Okay.
So our candidates don't have to be present next week, but if you'd like to be, that is wonderful. And then you can take your oath of office and stuff later.
Okay.
So, Mr. Vanderbilt? You're really pushing the limits today on
I would just point out that any of these applicants, the conversation we're having in our Legion meetings is this core question: how do we connect with people? We have a young fellow out there that's setting up a Facebook page. However, we older guys don't do Facebook and that kind of thing. So I just so that you know the challenges is that the younger guys are gonna do the Facebook stuff, but the real challenge is, again, if we're talking about we Vietnam folks, is that that's gonna have to be on somewhat of a snail mail or personal, but you gotta get out and get them to come, and we invite any of you folks that are applying for this to come to our Legion meeting. It's every Tuesday, every other Tuesday at 7 o'clock out at the Legion on M37, and come and see, and even if you don't get appointed to this thing, please come. We need new blood out there. Okay? That's all I'm sorry.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you for your time. I appreciate it. Nice meeting all of you.
Now, since we're a little bit ahead of time, why don't we take that break? Let's be back at 9:50. That clock is slow.
Oh, that clock is slow.
That clock is weird.